one of the most requested topics to talk about, and one of the things that a lot of people struggle with, is how do you get stronger for shooting, essentially, especially for recurve archery in particular. This is really important because of obviously the high draw weight that we hold with, and it can be difficult to progress up in weight. So someone sent in a question the other day along these lines, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm joined by Coach Michael again as well, so thank you for joining me, Mike.
Always a pleasure.
And we're gonna talk about that question, but at the end of the video, there's also another question someone asked about the bow arm elbow that I want to talk about. So that's the little teaser for the end. And to begin with, the question they asked was, how do I get stronger progressively with my recurve bow? What kind of training should I do to hold my bow as still as the Koreans, whether it's lifting weights or SPT? SPT, what they mean there, SPT is Kizik Lee's terminology for, he calls it specific physical training, but it's bow training, basically. Bow training is holding the bow, doing full draw reps, that kind of thing. So let's start with lifting weights versus bow training. Lifting weights is good. Getting generally stronger is good. There's no downside to it, but it generally doesn't translate that much to actual shooting and recurve because it's so specific, the movement that we need. What are your thoughts on that, Mike, and what's your experience with that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If I have someone coming to me who's big, strong and gym fit, wonderful. That's a great foundation to build upon. But sometimes, as we've covered before, we can have Olympic gymnasts who can't pull a 40-pound bow. So there's a clear distinguishing line between being gym fit, which definitely helps you manage the day, keep your core strong, help with your aim, all of those things. But when it comes to actually, particularly because he mentioned this, holding your sight pin still, the actual strength to shoot, yes, you need a strong core to be in position, but that bow strength only comes from the bow training. I mean, we used to call them sport-specific training was what our S&C coach would call it. That's the sort of more generic term because it's training just for our sport. No other sport would bother standing there holding a weight like that. You're not going to see any gains. It's just sport specific. But I know nothing to build up shooting strength than like doing the bow drills. And yeah, there's a video I made about a month ago, and it just shows you we're having a bow with an elbow sling because we want to protect those little fingers, don't we? You can really damage your fingers. We're not trying to train your tendons, we're trying to train your muscles. And spending it, just to be clear, just 30 seconds at full draw, 30 seconds rest. And once you can do that for 10 minutes, do 30 seconds where you're just creeping through the clicker zone slowly. Oh, it just burns. I can remember that feeling now. There's nothing better than that for building up strength.
Yeah. And I think it would be good today to kind of give a couple of kind of examples, if you like, of things like you just did, things that people can do. So like, for example, that 30-second, if you want to do like a really simple one that you can remember easily, like that 30-second one. People used to call them reversals, but 30 seconds on.
Where did that name come from? I've got
no idea what reversals is.
Would make sense. I think bow drills is a perfect name.
But yeah, so 30 seconds holding, 30 seconds rest, and then repeating. When you start out, you're not going to be able to do 30 minutes, but with the aim of getting to 30 minutes.
Getting to 10 is a really good benchmark.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times we chose 30 seconds up and down is so you can be in front of a clock with a second hand. But
Yeah.
now we have iPhones with interval timers you can set up 25 seconds and 15 seconds rest if you want. The 30-30 was just so easy to do in front of a clock.
Exactly. And when you're doing this, I think a lot of people get caught up with how hard to push. There's a very fine line, and especially when we talk about a 30-second hold, we want to reach, ideally, if we're doing reps, 1 to 2 reps before failure, which I'll define failure in a minute, or if you're holding, maybe 3 to 5 seconds before failure. But when we say failure, we're not talking about absolute failure of I cannot pull the bow back anymore. We're talking about technical failure, which is your technique has broken down, you're not using the right muscles anymore, and it's not the same shot as you would be aiming to do. So, for example, when Mike talked about the expansion, squeezing through and coming off, if you can't do a 30-second hold with your normal weight bow, which you probably can't to start with, ideally you would use a lighter bow and do the 30 seconds, or you can do your normal weight bow with less time, essentially holding at full draw. Quickly, if you're enjoying this video, you're going to love the 3 things I want to mention to you right now. So first of all, if you haven't already, you need to check out onlinearcheryacademy.com, which is my free website where you can go, and there's basically technique guides, training guides, equipment guides, how to tune your bow, loads of stuff on there completely free. You can also put your email address in to get my free weekly newsletter. Over 8,000 archers worldwide read this, where I send tips that you can't get anywhere else. Maybe equipment tips, mental tips, training tips, stuff about competitions, everything in there. Also, if you haven't already checked out my Online Archery Academy video courses, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You need to check them out. You can go to onlinearcheryacademy.com, click explore the courses, or you can go directly to courses.onlinearcheryacademy.com. There is currently, and I say currently, a beginner's course here that you can see, an advanced recurve technique course as well that you should check out, and eventually, very soon, there's going to be a tuning course as well. So if you haven't checked those out already, you can go there and have a look there. There's sections where you can basically see every single thing that I cover, which is a lot. There's a lot covered. This is the most comprehensive course on recurve technique in the world. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen any course that comes anywhere near this in terms of the detail that I go through every single stage of the shot, of your technique, how to troubleshoot those areas as well, how to train them, and I offer a money back guarantee with that as well. Finally, the last thing I want to mention, if you haven't already, go to members.onlinearcheryacademy.com, or you can go to onlinearcheryacademy.com and click become a member, and there you can join my membership, which is just £3.99 a month, to basically get exclusive access to me and loads of equipment advice, technique advice, free videos, Q&As, that kind of thing. So after this video, I'm going to record some more information in here on Q&As that people have sent in, technique things that maybe aren't as suitable for YouTube because they're just not going to get the views, that sort of stuff. This insider access is in the community, and you can see all organized in a really nice way. You also get my newsletter archive of all of those previous newsletters that I mentioned. You can access in here as well. So there's loads of stuff. Check it out. And now back to the video. Some other things, because this person said, how do I get stronger progressively? And I just want to highlight that word progressively. This is really the key word, and this applies to any physical training, is your body only adapts if you progressively overload. And this is why most people don't actually get stronger, and they can't increase their poundage, they can't, get better at their bow control, because they'll set their poundage and they'll get to a point, okay, I'm shooting 38 pounds, my sight's a bit wobbly, I'm not quite happy with it. I shoot 300 hours a week, I go to the club a couple of times, I do a competition, and then they don't get stronger because there's no progressive overload. There's not any demand on the body to actually improve or get better in any way, because they're not putting that as stimulus. So in your training, maybe there's many different ways of doing this. You can progressively overload by shooting more arrows every week. That is a way of doing it, and that increases your total number of arrows that you shoot. Maybe one week you shoot 300, then you shoot 340, then you shoot 370, then you shoot 400. But as you found as well, Mike, for those of us who aren't shooting full-time and in a Korean system, that reaches a kind of point of diminishing returns where you don't have any more time. You just don't have any more time to shoot. So this is where bow training is really good, because if you do a 30-second hold, and normally your shot is 3 seconds at full draw, that's 10 arrows essentially.
Well over capacity, yeah.
So this is where bow training is really good. So I just want to give a very brief, one of the bow training kind of frameworks that I love to give people when I've been working with people, and it's worked well for me and it's worked well for the archers I coach as well, is alternating between strength and hypertrophy training, essentially. So what I mean by that is, when you're doing bow training, having some days where you're doing lower reps and a higher bow weight.
Yes.
And some days where you're doing higher reps or higher time and a lower bow weight. So this is a little bit kind of tricky to do. But essentially, if you're always shooting the bow weight that you shoot, let's say it's 40 pounds, and you do all your bow training with that, you will get some improvement. But what will really help as well is if you can do some of your bow training with 46 pounds or 48 pounds or something. That's really going to improve and basically force you to adapt. So an example I would do is maybe,
if you can.
Yeah, maybe like Monday, doing a strength-based session where you do, okay, I'm doing 6 reps with a band around my bow, the top limb. This band adds 6 pounds, for example. I'm going to draw up, and I'll draw up, expand for 3 seconds, pull through the clicker, come back down. Let's do 6 reps of that. Let's do 4 or 5 sets with a minute and a half or 2 minutes rest. Let's do that. Then let's do some of the bow training you mentioned. Same weight with the band around the bow, but with the elbow sling. Let's do some of those. So you come in and you expand, and you're always aiming for, basically, if you're doing 6 reps or 7 reps, whatever it is, for the strength day, you're aiming maybe 4 to 6 reps. For the hypertrophy day that you might do on a Wednesday, you're aiming for maybe 8 to 12 reps, somewhere in there. But the 2 keys I want to give to people is you have to be maybe 1 to 2 reps away from technical failure. It has to be quite difficult and be really challenging. And you have to then progress week on week. So the first week you might start, I'm doing 5 reps with this 46 pound with the band. And then the next week I'm doing 6 reps. And then the next week I'm going down to 4 reps, but I'm putting another 2 pounds on the band. You need to progress every week. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. So a typical thing might be the Monday is the strength one, the Wednesday is the hypertrophy one, and then the Friday is the strength one. And then when you go back round, then you go hypertrophy on the Monday, strength on the Wednesday, hypertrophy on the Friday, and that way you get a good balance of all the sessions, because obviously 3 in a week you can't do even.
Yep.
But this is kind of a good framework that I like to mention to people, because you have to progress and you have to then have the recovery, which is why we don't do bow training every single day, because you'd be a bit dead.